we would like to invite Charles Jacobs to the podium at this point.
I'm going to introduce our next honoree. Alan West, you know better than anyone about America's fierce political divide. I think this week at Thanksgiving Day dinner, half the Americans have agreed not to talk to each other about politics. Well, guess what? No surprise, we Jews too are also divided. The Jewish man we're about to honor here now knows that Jews today are threatened by a new, terribly powerful force, the global alliance of radical Muslims and radical leftists. An alliance that is chasing the Jews out of Europe, harassing Jewish students on college campuses across the country. He also knows that no one's supposed to talk about this new daunting threat. It's too politically incorrect to bring up. But the man we are now about to honor does not flinch from his duty. We who know him call Rabbi Jonathan Hausman the warrior rabbi. Rabbi Hausman has a passion for philosophy, history, politics, religion, and languages. He's fluent in Hebrew and Arabic. He has a BA in Judaic Studies. He has a master's degree in International Affairs in the Middle East. He has a Doctor of Law degree. He has spent significant time in Israel as well as in Egypt, where he saw the Muslim Brotherhood up close and personal, where he saw what they did to Egyptian Christians. Years before, by the way, they came here in Boston to establish their mega mosque. Rabbi Hausman knows that Jews today need serious allies. So he works tirelessly in Washington with Christians United for Israel. And in Boston, he's on the board of Christians and Jews United for Israel. Nationally, he is co-founder and vice president of Rabbis and Ministers for Israel. He serves on the board of trustees for the American-Canadian Friends of Allen Hospital in Jerusalem. But it is at his Stoughton synagogue that we get to see him at work. There, he created an amazing fount for Jewish awakening, the Hausman Memorial Free Speech Forum, in memory of his parents, which over the years has brought to the Jewish community exactly the kind of people that we need to hear from, and exactly the sort of people that the other side of the Jewish house, you know who I mean, don't want us to hear from. First and foremost, he invited you, Alan West, to be a speaker. And he's brought us a series of wonderful people who are not afraid to tell us about the leftist and jihadist enemies we face. Congressman Michelle Bachmann, Israeli Ambassador Yoram Ettinger, brave Muslim reformer Wafa Sultan, historian Bat Yor, U.S. prosecutor Andrew McCarthy, Canada's Mark Stein, the Dutch parliamentarian and hero Geert Wilders, Lieutenant General Jerry Blackhawk Down Boykin, Danish activist Lard Hedegaard, and the list goes on and on and on and on, the best of the best. And it cost him to do that because the programs at Rabbi Schul's are so powerful that he was picketed by CARE, the Muslim Front Group, who, I am sad to report, were joined by the Massachusetts Board of Rabbis. That's how bad things are with some of our Jews. Shameful. But Rabbi Hausman didn't flinch. He doesn't flinch. And what we know is this, that when history has its say, Rabbi Jonathan Hausman will be seen as having been on the side of the fighting Churchills and not the cowering Chamberlains. And that's why I ask you now to please join me in giving a real Russian Jewish welcome to one of the brave Jewish warriors and heroic figures in our time, Rabbi Jonathan Hausman.
Usually when I stand up in front of a crowd, it's to respond to, I don't know, some kind of attack or delegitimization that has taken place. So if you'll all permit me a moment, I'd like to first address my brother, who's sitting over there, and then address my daughter, who's sitting over there, and then address my friend Alan West, who's sitting over there. Is that picture of me still up? I look like I was going to be an axe murderer. You know, Thomas Paine wrote, "When men yield up the privilege of thinking, the last shadow of liberty quits the horizon." You know, Matt, we were raised in a house. Mom and Dad really wanted us to cherish exacting inquiry. Wouldn't you say? We were taught never to accept a postulate at its face value, unless you were Uncle Abe, who was a card-carrying member of the American Communist Party. No, it's not a joke. We had an uncle who was a card-carrying member of the American Communist Party. You know, you have to understand, claims had to be tested against verifiable history and uncompromising data, and that's how we were raised. And my friends, it really is the history of Judaism. And Alan, I think you really captured it well. It's really the history of Judaism as evidenced by the tomes that comprise a decent rabbinic library. You see, my friends, it's very simple. And you Russian Jews understand it better than anybody who was born here. Okay, Judaism is more interested in the questions rather than the answers. Judaism is about rigorous thought applied to abstract ideas as opposed to freewheeling emotions. And we happen to live in an era, as Charles has mentioned, that evidences the erosion of the distinction between ideas and emotions, between feelings and politics of the day. Discussion and debate. You know, discussion and debate of the great existential issues of our day is impossible now without the other side expressing such vitriol, such anger, so as to shut those of us who are most interested in liberty and freedom and critical thinking based on truth and fact. They want to shut us down. They want to delegitimize us. And I'll tell you something, when this wall crumbles between the personal and such emotion, when emotion becomes the accelerant for the political, then disagreement becomes a threat to personal safety, and I'll tell you, violence will swiftly follow, and that's what we're witnessing on the college campuses today. To my daughter, you should know that all your broken old man does, through the speakers in memory of your grandparents, when I run off to another meeting with interfaith dialogue, whether it's here or in Knoxville or tomorrow in Toronto, with allies of the Jewish people, making sure that you understand the true meaning of Israel and what it means to us today, without qualification, without apology. You understand that? Or Alan, with the national security and political work that I do with you and a number of our other friends doing this work with well-selected organizations. It's all entirely rooted in classical liberalism. It's based on the free exchange of ideas, on discussion and debate, and not on personal destruction. When we can no longer discuss and debate ideas, when we can no longer critically study the text that another deems holy for whatever reason, then society becomes illiberal and society becomes totalitarian. And those of you who are from the former Soviet Union, you know it better than anyone else. When discussion becomes impossible, and if you lived in the former Soviet Union, whether it was in Russia proper, or the Ukraine, or the Baltic states, wherever you come from, you did not have the ability to discuss, to have the free exchange of ideas, then your lives are directed by compulsion, and you know it better than anyone else here. I once stated to my favorite general, I should say one of my favorite generals, because if I say that he's my favorite general, I'm going to have half a dozen screaming at me. Matter of fact, I said this last week to General Boykin. We were speaking at several events in Tennessee, Knoxville, Sevierville, Maryville. And I said, you know, General, I'm really a one-issue guy. I'm about the safety and security of the Jewish people in the state of Israel. That's it. And General Boykin vehemently disagreed with me. He said, "You're Rabbi, you're wrong." He said, "Your sole issue is freedom and liberty, the protection of our unalienable rights granted to us by God, enshrined by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights." And he said, "You see my rabbi, they fit hand in glove." And indeed, my general and my congressman, sitting right over there, are both correct. We have to labor for something greater than ourselves. And it's a privilege to fight this war with the most loving community of people that it is my good fortune to meet and to enter into this brotherhood. And it is a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood too. If we don't fight it now, there'll be nothing to preserve in a decade. What begins with the Jews never, ever, ever ends with the Jews. Ever. So Alan, you're right. Joshua should be our favorite. Chazak ve'ematz. Let us be of true strength and boundless courage. And I want to thank the Russian Jewish Community Foundation for this honor. I really am overwhelmed. Thank you.
Rabbi Hausman, on behalf of the Russian Jewish Community Foundation, in recognition of your work, please accept the Jewish Advocacy Award.